Welcome, everyone. My name is Coach Victor with egelloC. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about study hacks for high schoolers. I'm sure there's a lot of students who are about to get started in just next month, and maybe it's whether it's about studying for SATs, studying for some tests. You want to make sure that you get your grades up and that you score high on all these tests. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to kind of systematize your workspace, so that way you could be able to ensure that you're always getting the maximum efficiency in your study habits. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen and talk through this with everyone afterward. Also, to give folks a background on myself, if you haven't learned from me already, I'm Coach Victor of egelloC. I used to work in admissions at UC Berkeley. Also, fun fact, I went to Berkeley for undergrad and graduate school on a full ride scholarship. And I'm doing this because I just love being able to help out students and families to help them understand how the admissions process works. So I'll teach you, I guess, some ways on how I was able to study for myself way back in the day. So for today, what we're going to be covering is a little bit about why is it that current studying methods aren't working. If you have low grades or you are doing everything that you can, but you feel like it's not working, we're going to kind of analyze like why that might be the case. We're going to create a vision framework that helps you sustain your motivation and discipline. Usually for most cases, it's not a matter of just having the right system, but it's a matter of understanding why you're doing it. So we'll also talk about that. And then also creating the new study habits and systems. And we're actually going to be referring to Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a really great researcher who wrote a book all about how to create better habits for yourself. So let's dig into it. First off, why is studying hard? So usually it boils down to just three issues, whether it's just one, awareness, meaning that you don't know how or why exactly. Is it that you are not studying well? It could be the case of skills, meaning that you just don't know. I guess awareness is more about the what, right? Like what exactly are you supposed to focus on? The skills is like practice, right? You don't have enough practice yet to really get a routine down to understand how to do about it well. And then last thing is motivation. You don't really understand your why. So these are the kinds of things that you might want to assess for yourself. Which one of these issues do you feel like you are struggling in the most? Is it that you don't know what to focus on? Is it that you don't know how to study hard? Or is it that you just don't have a strong why? Usually when it comes to this, it makes it easier for you to identify where to work on. So let's focus on the first part, which is the motivation on the why, right? So one of the common challenges that people have when it comes to study is that you rely too much on motivation. You're trying to like all of a sudden feel like doing it. You're gonna wake up one day, take a nap, and then all of a sudden you feel all of a sudden this surge of energy to do it. And so the typical thing that you might tell yourself is, I just don't feel like doing it, right? And the problem with this is because you're depending so much on that motivation or that kind of feeling, it doesn't give you enough like that willpower to sustain that progress. So it's not really helpful to always just base it off your feelings, because this is the definition of discipline, which we'll get to a little bit, which is the ability to kind of persevere in spite of how you're feeling in that moment. And so we don't want to just rely on how we're feeling in that moment or that day, because it's going to likely fail no matter because you're not always going to be happy or always motivated all the time. So motivation fades over time without habits or system. The solution here is that we need to focus on building habits and make resolutions that are automatic, meaning that we want to create cues or create certain ways in our study system that's always going to push us to do one particular activity. So discipline, for example, right? What I was mentioning, that is the ability to persevere in spite of how you're feeling. And we want to make it very easy for us to be disciplined. And the goal is to kind of reduce the amount of friction it takes for us to accomplish a particular goal. And in this case, we want to try to, by making it as easy as possible and not relying on the feeling, it's just a kind of like an automatic like trigger that gets us to be able to do it. Going to the next part is the environmental barriers here, which is where you might say like, I can't do it because of a particular issue. So you might blame other things around you, and that there's particular circumstances that you might tell yourself that's preventing you from being able to study. And this makes it very challenging for yourself, because you have to reinforce the old habits instead of supporting new ones, meaning that when it comes to being able to try to, well, what am I trying to say here? What am I trying to say is when you're trying to blame it on a particular thing in your environment, it you just prevent yourself from being able to remove that distraction, and uh, you want to make sure that you can ensure that you can, when you go into a new environment, that you just automatically go in and then you know what to do. Sorry for fumbling on my words. So that's where this is where example of this is, like, for example, the self accountability versus blaming others. This is something that we see for students all the time, where you kind of don't blame. Yeah, you're not setting the system up for yourself. So if you feel like you are blaming like certain conditions that are happening, you want to be in control of your condition or creating that environment. Something also that's an example that I like to put as an analogy is you want to be a thermostat rather than uh, a thermometer. What I mean by that is a thermostat is something that sets the temperature, while a thermometer is reacts to the temperature. So in most cases, right, when you're starting out as a new student, you're kind of placed in whatever situation that you are. Maybe when you go home, you have a very noisy environment, so it ruins your kind of study ability. Maybe when you go to your room, you notice that it's like a very messy room, and that also distracts you. Or maybe that you have games that are very easily accessible, and so you react to that particular environment. The goal for you is to create that environment so that it's more conducive for you. So, for example, setting the environment means like making sure that you have noise canceling headphones. So that way you could be able to stay focused. Maybe it's to make sure that you always keep your space clean. So that way you don't get distracted by things around you. And also, other things is like making sure your games aren't in hand's reach, that you can't touch your phone easily. So, by being able to like lock your phone up in a closet and not being able to touch it is an example of trying to be a thermostat, that you're trying to create an environment for you that makes it very easy to do that particular task and very difficult for you to stay distracted. And also, when it comes to the self accountability versus blaming others, uh, the reason why this is important, because one of the questions on the personal insight questions or the essays is about how you've overcome like an academic challenge. And sometimes you might have bad grades in your transcript and you're trying to explain that. When you write about it, there is a common issue, which is where students start blaming the teacher. They like say, like, oh, the teacher was so difficult. No one really got an A in that class, and therefore I got a C or lower in there. And the thing is, that is the tendency to blame others rather than trying to take accountability of why is it that you couldn't be able to create a better environment for yourself, right? So, for example, if a teacher was hard, and I'm sure that there are a lot of teachers that are hard, what exactly have you been doing to like ensure that you're being resourceful? Have you been able to like follow up with the teacher, stay after school, go about tutoring? So you're trying to be in control of the situation. That's the whole point of self accountability. You don't blame others for your results or your actions, but instead you're able to modify it into a place where it is conducive for your own learning. And that's what the admission officers really want to see, is that are you able to create these systems that's better for yourself? Okay, lack of specific goals. I'm just gonna highlight everything because it makes it easier for me. So one of the things is some students might tell themselves, I just need to study more, right? And the thing is, when you have these vague particular resolutions or goals, it doesn't really give you a clear indicator of what does success actually look like, because studying more can be like 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes more. It could be that you got one chapter done versus 10 chapters. So by having unclear goals, it often leads to failure because there's not it's just unclear about what are you trying to work towards and how much effort do you need to put into it to be feeling accomplished. And because of that, it creates a lot of inability to create action. So the way to go about this is to go use SMART goals. And I'm sure many students have already heard this before, multiple times, but SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. SMART goals can be able to help you create more boundaries about what exactly you should accomplish. So specific meaning that, can I pinpoint the granular size of what needs to be done? So specific meaning like, let's put a quantity to it, right? Same for measurable, I guess that's both things. can I easily say yes or no? So specific and measurable, as in like I want to study by reading 5 more pages, right? 5 pages, the 5 makes it measurable. The 5 pages is very specific. So you're able to get the sense of the granularity on what you're supposed to achieve. Also, actionable, is that something that you can do? Because sometimes actionable is also achievable. And what this means is that can you actually accomplish the goal in your given time? Like it's not likely that you're going to finish a whole entire, I don't know, 200-page book within like one study session, but you can finish like 10 pages or 2 chapters of a book within a study session. So making sure that you do have realistic expectations for yourself. And that goes to the last part, is this even possible? And lastly, timing. When are you going to achieve it? So being able to be very clear about when is your goalpost going to end. And so an example of putting this all together is that you want to study a geometry concept weekly at a particular time and date. The reason why this is specific, right? It's a geometry concept that you're talking about. So maybe instead of concept, it could be like, oh, I want to learn about geometry, I don't know, angles, triangles, right? Is it measurable, right? So meaning that are you able to study every single week, right? The answer could be yes or no. Is it something that you can do, right? This is definitely something you can be a little bit more specific to. Maybe it could be like study 1 chapter of geometry weekly at X time and X date. Is it realistic? Yes, because it's 1 chapter. And like timely, are you able to achieve this? Most definitely, because it's saying that you're putting a particular date and time to it. By what's I'm not sure how often students are doing this nowadays, but hopefully you've already started thinking about time management for yourself as well, in terms of there should be a certain time and place for everything that you do. So for example, when you wake up, you're always going to brush your teeth, right? You always have an alarm that goes off maybe around 7 a.m. And you're trying to, the first things you automatically do, wake up, use the restroom, brush your teeth, and then by 7:30, you should be downstairs eating breakfast, right? The same has to be applied here. What is your routine schedule to be able to study? Is it at 6 o'clock? Is it at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? And where is it going to be? So time and location are 2 very important things, because that is what helps you create that automatic cue. Next part is the lack of vision. So this is where you don't know why you're doing these things. So if you're a parent and you're watching this and you're like, oh, my kid doesn't study or doesn't even do these things, or you ask yourself like, what's even the point of even doing this? That's because you don't know what's the value of it, right? Why is it that we should even do work or study if we don't see the clear like benefit of doing it in the first place? And it's understandable, because let's just say you want to uh, one day work on cars, like you love cars and you want to be like a mechanic or something. And so when you're studying like mathematics or English, you're just like, oh, what's the point of doing this? Like, I just want to work on cars in the long term. So therefore, that will kind of derail you, because you don't realize the importance of a college education. So the way to think about it, right, is understand what are the goals required to achieve your goals. So let's say you want to be a mechanic, which is totally fine, but you still might need a college education to learn more about how to invent cars. Maybe you can dream bigger. And instead of thinking about like what exactly um, is it that this thing has particular value to the to what the work I want to do in advance. Like for example, English, right? Is English and history. Usually history has very little relevance to what we want to do in the future. But yet at the same time, being able to do well in history unlocks your ability to get into a really good college. And getting to a really good college gives you the ability to explore different fields, to try new things, to access a certain culture. Those are the things that you could look forward to. So it might not be necessarily a career that you might be looking forward to, but it could be the particular opportunities or privilege that you want to look forward to. So by being able to remind yourself about the why behind it all, it will definitely help you feel like an emotional commitment towards doing it. So an example of a solution is to develop like a vision board. Like a vision board is like just like collage of pictures or words that really detail where is it that you're working towards. Like for myself, I have this like picture next to my screen, which is actually one of my dream homes that me and my wife have. And so there's like pictures of like how the house looks like externally, internally, and also the neighborhood as well. And so that grounds me to kind of understand, why am I working so hard? Well, it's because I want to work towards this particular vision. And the same can be said for students, right? Think about your study area, right? And if you have the hard time being able to stay driven, try to set a picture of something that you like want to work towards, right? Maybe you have a dream school in mind. So if it's like Berkeley, put the Berkeley logo right next to you and put it in front, so that you can always remind yourself what you're working towards. And it could be the case, it's not college that really excites you, but it's the opportunity to move somewhere new. Maybe it's like the Los Angeles area. Maybe it's like the food that you're looking forward to. Maybe it's like the kind of the communities that you'll be able to look into. So try to identify what exactly is it that you look forward to doing in the future, a few years from now, that you can be able to kind of remind yourself. So that's an example of how to address the lack of vision there. So the next part we're going to do is talk about how to create a vision framework. So that way you can remind yourself what exactly is it that why you're doing these things, and also to backwards map from your vision to your goals to your habits. Okay. So we talked a little bit about vision, right? Vision is supposed to help you like serve as that guiding compass. It is the thing that helps motivate you to stay sustained and grounded. And so the way to kind of think about your vision is to get as specific as much as possible, because the more that you can understand like what exactly is that future that you're working towards, then it feels more like a reality. So for example, say for myself, maybe for this particular house I'm looking towards in living in the future, I love the fact that I can be able to walk outside, get a nice city view of the area while walking around with my dogs, and also with my wife, being able to really enjoy it. I really look forward to being able to like go downstairs into my home gym and be able to work out whenever I want to. There's a backyard that I'm able to like take a deep breath in, get some nice fresh air, and also I get to see like a city view. Let's say if you're a student, you're looking forward to college, right? Let's try to get as concrete as possible. Maybe you're looking forward to living in the dorms where you're able to experience college life. You're in the hallway, being able to see like all these new friends that you're creating, and that you're able to join these very fun clubs that you really like. Maybe you want to join this a cappella group that you can really see yourself doing on a daily basis, and that you're able to enjoy like the meals and living around campus and walking around. This is why college tours are so important. So parents, if you feel like your student isn't as motivated, take them on a college campus tour, right? Let them see themselves in that environment so that they have a vision that they can work towards. And also you can ask yourself or ask them, like, what does it feel like to be here? Why is it so important for me to experience this? What do you like? What can you see yourself being able to accomplish in the future if you could be able to access this opportunity? So again, just by reflection, it's going to be really be able to help you. And that actually goes to the next part about exposure and reflection. I remind parents about this all the time, where like if you ever run into the issue, what do I want to do when I grow up? I have no clue, right? Or I have no idea about what I want to study. Well, that's because you lack one of these things. It's either the exposure or the reflection here. Exposure means like you have new experiences that help you learn more about yourself and what you want to achieve. The reflection is like, are you having conversations with somebody, whether it's like another peer or a parent or a coach, just to kind of connect your vision to your reality? So, for example, let's say you're a student and you have no clue like what you want to study. You just know that you like math, okay? And that is the most common thing. Yes, I love math, but what can you do with math, okay? So the best way to kind of expose yourself is to talk to people in the field. Try to see if you have any friends or family members who are working as engineers, working as like, high school math teachers, or being able to go to the tech museum and like see how math can be applied. The more that you can just kind of expose yourself to different things, the more of a potential reality that you can see yourself doing. And then reflection, don't just go out there and talk to people and leave it at that, but you want to reflect with someone. Ask yourself, why is it that you feel gravitated towards this particular vision or this particular occupation? Why is it that you see this sense of excitement that you're having? Because the more specific you get, the more that self-awareness you have. And actually, this is exactly what the admission officers want to know. The admission officers want to know, why do you want to go to college? What exactly you want to study? And how do you know that based off what you're currently doing? So that is a form of exposure and reflection in a gist of it, right? You are supposed to show to the mission officers how you're being proactive in being able to create more learning experiences for yourself, and that you're actually going to college because you have this gap in knowledge. You've tested all these waters. You've tried out the different kinds of activities, and also you talk to a lot of different people, and you notice that this is something that you really like to do, and that you have this potential opportunity to learn more about it if you go to college. And this is exactly what you're trying to write down in your personal statements. Okay, let's go next part, which is the goal, which is the specific measurable outcome that contributes to achieving that broader vision. So we already talked about SMART goals. So I'm not going to recap that. But the thing about the goals is that you want to connect your goals to that vision. So for example, let's say your vision is like you want to go to UC Berkeley or whatever UC or college it is, right? You have to understand what are the particular goals that you need to achieve in order to get to that point. So for example, and of course, I would rewrite this and try to make it more smart, if anything, like strong academic foundation. So it could be that you need to, the goal is you need to get above a 4.0, and that you need to take different academically rigorous courses such as dual enrollment and AP courses. That is one of your goals, to create a strong academic foundation. Number two, diverse activities that help you stand out and that you actually enjoy. So being able to say like, for the UC applications, you need to write down 20 different activities and awards. So 20 different activities that can help me like stand out. And what I mean by standing out, a lot of students always ask this, how do I stand out, right? And it does not about what you do, but it matters why you do it. But if you really want to understand some qualities for activities that would be most valuable, it would be like, one, are you able to show that you're taking initiative to learn more about your field? Are you able to problem solve and think critically? Are you able to collaborate with others? And lastly, are you able to take leadership and influence others? Those are the sort of things that you want to be able to demonstrate throughout your activities. And you don't want to be passive, you want to be active. What I mean by that is you can go to all these enrichment camps and like go to summer programs to learn, but you got to do something with that knowledge, right? Don't just take a bunch of courses. There was someone who visited my group coaching session earlier today and was asking me, should I take these 3 dual enrollment courses when I already have like 5 or 6 AP courses in junior year? And my answer to them was, you could, though one thing I worry about for you is, do you even have enough time for your activities? Because activities matters more than the actual academics for admissions, because a lot of students are taking a lot of these courses. What is going to make you different is, what do you do with that knowledge? So you want to show that you are applying the knowledge of what you're learning in class and putting it into the field in some type of way. And this isn't to say like you're going to cure cancer or anything of that sort, or like build a transformative application or anything of that sort. It's just showing that you're taking baby steps, right? So for example, if you're in computer science, you want to learn how to code. And so code something, right? Create something small, whether it's like a website, whether it's like your own iPhone application or something. Show that you're taking that initiative to really take action. So that's for the activities. And the last part is creating an application that showcases your unique talents. So this is maybe the goal 3 here is like creating an application that egelloC coaches will all give their approval of. If you're a part of our community, just a reminder, like our strategists are the ones at the very end that's always going to like greenlight your essays. So you want to be able to impress all of us. So when it comes to submitting your essays to us, we always want to make sure that different coaches are able to review it, because we want you to get all the coaches to say yes. If all the coaches say, I have no feedback for you, this is great, right? You are in, like you will be set. And just so you know, too, in terms of the application, majority of students in our program will submit anywhere between 20 to 50 different revisions to be able to get their essays in good shape. So maybe the goal here, right, is it could be like a recreation of a SMART goal for the 3 is like submitting 20 like plus essay revisions to my coach and getting their approval. So that's an example of like being able to know that you're focusing, that you're able to accomplish this particular goal. So goal 1, which is actually this kind of goes into like what we talked about or what we teach about what it takes to get into college. It's the 3 A's, right? The academics, the activities, and the application. So this is like what it will take for you to be able to get into that particular school. Okay, so now if you know what particular goals that you need to achieve, then right, if once you have decided like, oh, I really want to go to school, I think this is the best fit for me. Now I know, and you backwards map it, you know what particular goals that you need to accomplish in order to meet that vision. Next is the habits, and the habits is the most important thing because the habits are what define who you are. So it's one of those like common sayings, you are what you eat or you are what you do on a daily basis, because your habits is what kind of describes what exactly do you do, right? And so just to kind of help people understand what are habits, right? It's a small, consistent action or routines that help you achieve your goals over time. They happen so frequently that you don't even think about it anymore. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like taking a shower every day. It's like going to school. These are habits that we've done. And in fact, there's a lot of habits that we might do that is toxic as well. For example, how many people wake up in the morning and just scroll on their phone? That becomes a habit, and that you are unintentionally doing it every single time because it is a habit that you just formed over time. And these happen not intentionally. It just happens like over time because you've done it once and it just becomes so easy to do. That's why social media is so addictive to develop the habit of keep on going on. Because if you notice when you scroll down, right, the algorithm is always going to pump something new to you or show something new to you that is related to your interest there. So that's why we develop the habit of scrolling, because we get this kind of sense of dopamine every single time we see something new, and we're trying to search for that dopamine. And so that is a habit that we developed through, and that's actually what a lot of social media companies do. They're trying to reinforce habits for us to consume, and even for games. Like let's say you're a gamer, right? So there's some games that are going to ask you, you must accomplish this particular goal every single day. In gamer words, those are called daily quests or dailies, right? And there's a reason why they make daily quests, because they're trying to make it as a daily habit for you to do these particular goals in the game, because it reinforces that behavior and makes you do it over and over and over again. And that's what makes it addicting. So the same applies to here as a student, right? You have to use the same knowledge that these big tech companies are doing with their games and social media and applying it to your own life. You want to make sure that you are developing your own habits, not somebody else developing the habits for you. And so you want to be like in control, right? Going back to the kind of analogy that I talked about earlier, you want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. And so to be able to do that, you have to ask yourself, what are the habits that are forming you today, right? The habits are your identity. So who are you today? And also who do you want to become? The way I like to think about it is Victor 2.0. Victor 2.0 has specific habits that I haven't done yet. And so it's to help me understand what do I need to become. So let's just say, like, if you were to think about who you are today, right? The easy way to kind of think about it is like, okay, let's walk through your day, 9 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and then just keep on going in this like kind of timetable here, and ask yourself, what are you constantly doing every single day, right? Actually, let's make this a little easier. Let's say it's after school, because usually most people are in school anyways. So let's just say 3 p.m., I get out of school and I have some type of sport afterward, right? I do sports for about 2 hours and then I get home and then have dinner, right? And then 6 p.m., maybe this is where I like to like relax. So I like to like watch Netflix. 7 p.m., I like to play games and socialize, right? Maybe, and then and then 8 p.m., this is maybe where I start doing homework, right? So this might be a typical schedule that a lot of students do. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but it's more so of, well, how is this serving you right now, right? So something to ask yourself, well, because of these habits that I have on a daily basis, who have I become, right? And maybe you have become, maybe who you are today is a 3.6 GPA student, and that you are not like 1 or 2 AP courses only. Maybe this is the reason why that you are a 3.6 GPA student, is because you aren't being intentional enough about how you're spending your time. And we can dig in a little bit deeper, right? What does your habits for doing homework actually look like? It could be the case that you or let's just say when you're doing homework and studying, you sometimes get distracted, or sometimes you fall asleep, or sometimes like you have a messy environment that distracts you, right? So I'm not just saying like look at the time of how you're spending everything, but look at how you're actually doing your actions within each of these steps. And this is like who you are as of today, that 3.6 GPA student with the 1 to 2 AP courses. So now who do you want to become, right? If you want to think about transforming yourself, you have to understand, well, what's your vision, right? It's not just the vision of like, I want to go to the school of UC Berkeley, but I have a vision of who I need to be to get into UC Berkeley, right? So it's more identity transformation. You're not just thinking about the goal or the vision at the very end of getting to college, but you're thinking about who have you become that is eligible to go to UC Berkeley. So let's just say Victor 2.0, right? Is as an identity for going to be Berkeley bound. That's what they call it. Like, are you bound to go to Berkeley? The kinds of like habits that I need to form or things that I would do, I would see myself as always driven, like a problem solver, like activist, especially in the Berkeley culture, right? Maybe you care about the environment or something like that. Maybe the Berkeley bound Victor is also like a leader in clubs, and maybe he's also I don't know, like a always getting like straight A's or something. So the question, if you're able to describe the identity of who this 2.0 version of yourself is, right, then you're able to kind of backwards map from there. What are the habits to be able to sustain these particular kinds of identities, right? So in this case, now you can backwards map. Let's go back to like creating that schedule. Maybe instead of yes, sports or activities, right? Well, I actually didn't put any sports in here. So maybe it's like an extracurricular activity. And maybe I do this, the same is a plate here. 5 p.m. I still have dinner. I mean, nourishment is always good, but the 7 p.m. looks a little bit different, or 6 p.m. looks different. It's not that I'm watching Netflix right away, but I'm actually like going out and maybe doing more extracurriculars related to like the environment or something like that. Maybe I'm working on my personal project for school. And then maybe 8 p.m. is when I start to do homework and studying. Or maybe homework and studying goes first. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, but in the way that I do homework and studying, right, the kind of environment that I have to set for myself is never be distracted, right? Always have like resources available to maximize my study habits, and also like a I don't know, conducive environment. So what I'm trying to say here is, once you've kind of identified, right, who you need to become to get to your vision, then you're able to identify and backwards map what are the actions that you're doing. And then you compare yourself, right? If this is what I'm doing right now, what is the amount of effort that I need to do to be able to get to this place right here? And it might be a transformative change of everything that you're doing, or it could be a small, like little tiny change, right? It could be that everything that you've done here is fine, but it's about how you go about the homework and studying. That's the issue. So you want to kind of critically analyze for yourself, like, where is the problem? What is the root issue, right? Remember that the problems that we talked about is the 3 problems: is awareness, skills, and also motivation. Awareness, right? Awareness means, are you able to map out like how your schedule looks like and what goes on? Are you able to identify where the main issue is? Let's say you self-awareness. You know that it's really about homework and studying. This is where you need to like address it. Next is skills, right? What about homework and studying? Maybe it's that you not strong in math or something like that, or that don't not strong study skills. Is that even how you say it? Not strong study skills, weak study skills. So weak study skills. So in this case, right, maybe it's just one of these that's the skills issue. Motivation, right? You don't have this mapped out yet. You don't know who your 2.0 version is. You don't know what this vision that you're working towards. So, figure out whether is it that you don't know who you want to become? Is it that you're not aware about where in your schedule is it, or where in your environment is it that's the issue? Or is it that you just need particular tutoring, or you need particular skill sets in studying? That's what will help you become this newer version of yourself that you want to become. All right. Okay. So now let's go to the next piece. Hope folks are finding this valuable. Let me know in the chat. I see somebody saying that they're going to share this with their kids. Awesome. Let me know if this is helpful, just to get like a quick thumbs up, just to see if this is good information or not, or if in the chat. If not, no worries. Oh, one thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So next, let's talk about how to create a new study habit here. Okay. So we're going to talk about some learnings from the Atomic Habits book by James Clear, which talks through a habit creation system that can really transform the way that you can study. So I'm going to walk you through each one of this. It starts from the cue, which is to make it obvious, which we'll talk about first. So let me go into here. So the cue is the trigger that initiates a behavior, right? So it's the time and place of what I mentioned before. What is the specific time or area that you want to study? So another kind of thing to think about is when it comes to an obvious cue is, let's say, your refrigerator, right? Your refrigerator is always going to be that one place that you're always going to get food and seek nourishment. And you're always going to feel hungry around 8 a.m. when it comes to like breakfast, 12 p.m. around for lunch, and maybe like around 5 or 6 p.m. for dinner. There's a reason why we naturally go to those places when we're hungry. And it's because we expect ourselves to eat and fulfill ourselves if we get to that place. So the same goes here for studying. You want to think of a time and place that is your one thing for studying, and it should be it should only be used for studying. So for example, for me, I actually have two desks. So I have a desk for work, and I also have a desk for like my workshop, which is where I like to do handy things. So what that means is that when I work on my work desk, I know that I'm going to get down to work. But when I go to get to my desk where I do kind of tinkering or putting things together, I go to my other desk and it activates a particular cue for me to do certain things. So the goal here is making sure that you have one particular time and place to do one behavior, because that is going to be the one that creates that repetition or that cue for you. Also, in terms of environment, right? You got to make sure that you make it very convenient to do, make it super easy. And I guess this is the going to response, but a little bit later, we'll talk about it a bit more. But making sure that there is something there at your like location of studying that will prompt you to do that one thing. So for example, if you want to study like physics tomorrow, put the physics book there. If you know that you're going to set a dedicated time to study a subject, put all your resources or things that you need to study that effectively at that location, so that when you see it around like 6 o'clock when you get home, then you know that that's something that you need to do. Lastly, no distraction environment, right? This is where I know that most students nowadays, it's so easy to get distracted, especially with your phone. Easy thing, just take out your phone and then put it in a different room. Don't let yourself be able to access it. If you need it for school, then like try to set certain apps that like block you from being able to use like social media or other things. Even for your laptop, a lot of students do work now on your laptop, and you want to prevent yourself from accessing different tabs. That's why, like, for example, on Zoom, if you're paying attention right now, if you have me on a dual screen, I bet you that you're probably multitasking. If you're multitasking right now, that means you're not paying full attention right now. You're distracted. So that's why it's important for you to have this on full screen, because if you're on full screen, then you have full attention, right? So the multitasking is already proven to not work, so don't try to multitask. Next part, once you have made it obvious, the cue, the next part is the trying to make it attractive, right? This is where you try to attach positive emotions to it to make it exciting. So there's a few ways to do it, right? One is that you can remind yourself about your vision. So like similar to a vision board that I mentioned, maybe you have your vision board right next to your desk, or the flag of the college that you want to get into. So that way it reinforces, why is it that I need to study this particular subject? Why do I need to do this homework assignment? It's because I'm trying to work towards that goal. So by having that vision board can easily help you remember your reason why. Also, next thing is temptation to bundle up with something that you enjoy with that particular habit. For me, like I love coffee. Coffee is one of the uh, best things that I don't know. I always love waking up to it. And so for me, I remember when I was trying to increase my reading ability, I always had a cup of coffee like while I was reading. And that actually goes into habit stacking. So trying to habit stack something that you enjoy with another particular like action can get you to likely to do it. So if you like listening to music, for example, which is a very easy thing, listen to music while you study, and maybe only allow yourself to listen to music unless you study, because that gets you to look forward to doing music. So for me, for example, like I wouldn't allow myself to drink coffee unless I was consuming something like reading material. And in order for me to enjoy that cup of coffee, or for you, you in this case, in order for you to listen to that music, you have to study to be able to access that. And that is what gets you to make it attractive and crave it. And that's where it's like positive association. There's this, it reminds me of this experiment that they do in psychology class. It's very popular in psychology class. They would have it like a dog uh, to be able to look at food, and they start slobbering, right? Like they start like wanting and craving it. And so what the scientists did is that they would ring a bell every single time the food came out. So they use what's called like positive reinforcement. They would associate the ringing with the bell with the food. And every time the food came out, they would slobber. And then eventually over time, they took out the food, they rang the bell, and the dog still slobbered because they associated that behavior of ringing the bell is when they're going to get food. So the same applies to yourself. I'm not saying you're a dog or anything, but like humans are naturally set up to have positive reinforcement. If you have those associations with something that you really like doing with the thing that you're trying to make more attractive, like studying, if you hate studying, then try to add something fun to it. And if you're like, and the same can go like, for example, like allowing yourself to only play games or only watch YouTube or TV after you've done your homework. So instead of like watching Netflix first before after you get home, only watch Netflix after you finish your homework assignment. That's going to be able to help you. And lastly is social influence, joining a study group or accountability partner to be able to make it more engaging and collaborative. So there's one of those quotes that says that you are a product of the environment that you're placed in. And this is what I usually associate with like group settings where you are working with other students. The honor students or the AP students tend to always like kind of click together during lunchtime. And that's just generally because they are a positive influence to each other. So if you feel like you are having a hard time studying, it's possible, is it that your friends are not studying either, right? And if that's the case, then you might need to make new friends. But also, it could be the case that they are really good and you just need to study together. So try to suck up their positive influence, right? By being able to create these like study groups together. Next part is to make it easy response. So the actual behavior or habit that's performed. So you want to make it as easy as possible to complete the task that you're trying to do. The bigger the task, the harder it's going to be able to accomplish. So by making it small, it makes it very easy and repeatable, and that you want to try to break it into like small chunks, right? So for example, again, like with a chapter book, right? You might not be able to read a full chapter book within one day, but you can read like one particular chapter out of the whole entire series. And that will help you be able to really be able to accomplish those things. And when you accomplish it, that creates like this sense of like dopamine and serotonin in your body that that gets you excited and happy that you've accomplished it, and it helps you do more. So think of it as like you're building momentum, right? If you accomplish one thing, one problem, like on like let's say a practice problem or a homework assignment, you get it good, you feel really good that you did it right, then you go on to the next one, then the next one. So try to kind of take a pulse check on yourself about how much you've accomplished in your study sessions. So that way you can feel like, oh yeah, like I made a lot of progress. This is great. And then just keep on going from there. So just remind yourself like how much you've been able to accomplish in that short period of time. And this can kind of easily be done also, like let's say with like a chapter book or something like that. And you have printouts of like the things that you need to read. Sometimes it's helpful to even like print it out into like small little packets. Like let's say instead of having like a 30-page or 40-page like book put together, it's easier to just like take out 5 pages only and put it into like one stack and 5 pages into another stack, because the act of being able to finish one full stack of 5 papers, it makes it feel much easier to like say like, okay, I finished that one. Awesome. Let me pull the next one. And so you want to give yourself the false impression, not false impression, the impression that you are getting more done. Next thing is to prepare ahead, meaning that you want to make sure that everything is there and easy for you to access. So again, as I mentioned before, it's similar to the queue where you have something that is always going to tell you like that you need to study, but making sure that all your resources, all your tools are also in place as well. So let's just say you're studying for calculus. Make sure your calculator is there. Make sure that you have your workbook and then also your textbook. Make sure that you have everything that you need, that you have your pencil, you have your eraser, everything is on there on that desk ready for you to be used. So don't because sometimes when you're like there, you try to get started, but you're like, oh no, I forgot my pencil. Oh, I forgot to like to get my textbook. And I'm sure parents see this all the time, where students are constantly fumbling just to try to get all the material together, and they're so slow, right? And you're just like, oh my God, hurry up, like let's get going, come on, like finish the thing that you're trying to do. Well, it's because the environment wasn't conducive for them already, right? So if you're trying to get, so that's pro tip for parents, right? If you're trying to get your kid to accomplish something, don't let them get distracted by having everything there easy for them to do, and that it's hard to like mess up, right? You're trying to create a system where it always produces the same results. All right, last part is to make it satisfying. So this is where you want to make sure that there is some type of benefit or outcome of completing the habit. So this is very similar to, there's an act of being able to see your progress get done over time. And then when you track your progress, this gets you to feel like you can check off things and feel like you've made some strides in your accomplishments. So those are the kinds of things that you can mentally keep note of. The more check marks that you have, the more progress that you're seeing, and and then you can kind of see it over time. And also, like, it's the same goes for, like, let's say working out or exercising. Sometimes what people do on their calendar is that they put a like a check mark on the calendar saying like, I worked out on this day, this day, and this day. Hey, I was consistent 4 days in a row. And by being able to see it, you're able to do it. And just so you understand as well, a lot of these we can learn a lot from tech companies, right? Or a lot from the applications that we're using. Some people have like Apple Fitness, where they have like an Apple Watch and it tracks their rings that they have to move and stand up. For those who don't have it, it like tracks the number of minutes that you are able to move around. And there's a little circle that kind of shows you like your progress. And every time you complete the goal every single day, it like vibrates and says like, hey, you met your goal of like taking 100 steps per day. Yay. And that gets that sense of like that reward. The reward is to be able to enjoy that thing afterward. Next part is the reward yourself at the very end. So creating small rewards for completing. This can be as easy as like, hey, you're going to enjoy a favorite snack. You're going to enjoy an activity only after you completed this thing. So for example, for me, like I love I love my protein shakes after I work out. So one of the things I always look forward to after like a really hard workout is that protein shake. And that is my reward every single time. And I can only drink it if like I've actually worked out. And lastly, celebrating milestones, recognizing the achievements like completing a chapter, acing a test. It's very similar to tracking your progress, but instead you want to kind of zoom out a little bit, right? About how far you've gone. It's possible that you not only just like completed these homework assignments, but it's possible that like you've grown in advancement. Another analogy is like thinking about like video games. You've like leveled up in a lot of ways. You went through different classes, and that you are at a high level that you wouldn't have dreamed that you could achieve like 5 years ago when you first started. So being able to understand how far you've gone is really what's going to help you as well. Okay, and so just to summarize everything, right? The way to, just as a quick recap for everything, is that in order for you to fully be able to transform yourself and make yourself into a better studier or student, is that you need a clear vision about yourself, right? A clear vision of what you want to achieve and who you must become in order to achieve that vision. So what is your identity that you need to embrace? Then from there is what are the goals? What do you need to accomplish in order to achieve that vision? And then from there, what are the habits? What are the specific things that I do on a day-to-day basis that helps me become that new vision of myself that will help me achieve my goals? So this is where you have to transform yourself. And from your habits, right? The way to create new habits is one, you got to make it obvious to cue yourself every single time that you see something, that you do it. You got to make it attractive, that you want to do it. Make it easy, that there should be no friction for you to be able to accomplish that particular task or studying, and then to reward yourself at the very end. And then you keep on continuing this cycle over and over and over again until it becomes that habit for yourself. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you want the notes or the replay, oh, actually, this is older here. This is not. All right, so if you want the notes or the replay, text notes or replay to 949-775-0865. If you're new to our community and you want to get a free 15-minute coaching session for new families, then text coach. And also one other last announcement as well, particularly for the egelloC family members, my group coaching sessions have changed. Sessions for Victor. They're now going to be on Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it'll be after this particular webinar. So what that means is you can catch me, oh, this is PT, Pacific time. So you can catch me after these calls. Well, actually, this is going to be my last webinar in a while because we're going to be transitioning to just 2 to 3 webinars per week. And so instead of me doing these webinars, I'll have group coaching sessions at 7 o'clock. So you can feel free to join it. If you don't know how to join it, you just go to call schedule in Discord. And in there, you'll see a whole schedule of all the coaches and all of our office hours and group coaching sessions. And then from there, you could be able to join through the group coaching sessions. This will start next week. It won't be today. I just had mine earlier today at 4 o'clock. And will replay automatically be sent? No. So please text replay to 949-775-0865 so that you can get your replay. Okay. All right. We'll go into the last part. Any questions that people have? I know we have about 30 people or so that are here. So curious if there's anything that that people notice or need support with. All right, going once, going twice. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for attending this call. Looking forward to be able to work with y'all in the group coaching sessions if you find that valuable. And we'll catch you all next week. Take care, everyone.